Okay, so in this video I'm going to have a look at the Leaving Certificate Higher Level Maths Paper 1 for 2019, and I'm going to have a look at question 1. So this is the first part of the question here. It's an algebra question. So it says, in the expansion of 2x plus 1 times x squared plus px plus 4, where p is a natural number, the coefficient of x is twice the coefficient of x squared. So you've got to find p. So they're saying that in the expansion of this thing here, so we've got to expand it. So let's just multiply it out. We have 2x plus 1, and that's multiplied by x squared plus px plus 4. Okay, so when you expand this, we've got to multiply each thing in this bracket by each thing in this bracket here. So we start with the 2x here. We multiply 2x by x squared. We get 2x cubed. Multiply the 2x by the px. First of all it's plus, then it's 2, then it's p, then it's x squared, so 2px squared. Multiply the 2x by the 4, that will give us again a plus, and 2 4s 8x. Now we've got to multiply everything in this bracket here by the plus 1. So we're just going to end up with everything here, so it's just going to be plus x squared plus px and plus 4. Okay, so let's just simplify this, or let's see, we start with the 2x cubed. There are no other x cubes there, so we'll just leave that as it is. There's an x squared here and an x squared here, so if we put those together we get 2px squared plus x squared, and we have an x here and an x here, so we'll put those together. So we've got an 8x and we have the px, and out at the end here we have the plus 4. Now we'll just leave that as it is, and we'll look at this here. So we want a just one x squared, not 2x, two terms with x squared in them. So let's factorize out this x squared. So that will just give us 2p plus 1, and we'll have an x squared out here. So if you work backwards here, 2p times x squared is 2px squared. 1 times x squared will give us this x squared here. Also here we have an x and an x, so we can factorize out the x. So that will just give us 8 plus p, with the x out here, and we've got our 4 here. So 8 times x is 8x, plus p times x is our px here. Now we were told in this question that the coefficient of the x is twice the coefficient of the x squared. So the coefficient of the x is 8 plus p. So we're told here that 8 plus p, the coefficient of the x, is twice the coefficient of the x squared, and the x squared here is just 2p plus 1. Okay, so let's just work out. We have an equation here. We just have p in it, one unknown, so we can isolate the p here. We can work out what p is. So let's have a look. We have 8 plus p here, so we'll just leave that as it is. Multiply this out here, we get 4p plus 2. Let's see, we'll bring this p over to this side. We'll subtract p from both sides, and at the same time I'll bring this 2 over here. In other words, subtract 2 from both sides as well. So on this side we'll end up with 6, and on this side we'll end up with 4p minus 1p, which is just 3p. That will give us p here, divide by 3, p is equal to 2. Okay, now you can check that if you want. We don't necessarily have to do it in this particular question, but if you want to just check to see if it's okay. Assuming you've done the expansion correct here, if we take our coefficient of x squared and our coefficient of x here, if we stick 2 in here, we'll get 2 2's 4 plus 1 is 5. We stick the 2 in here, we'll get 8 plus 2, which will give us 10. And the question said that the coefficient of x, which is our 10 here, is twice the coefficient of x squared, which would be 5 here. So it does work out. Okay, so that's part 1, or part A of our question. Let's have a look at part B. Now part B is just a case of solving this equation here. So you've got to write this down and just try and get x on its own. So it involves fractions, algebraic fractions, so we've got to do a little bit of work here. So let's see, we've got 3 over 2x plus 1. We've got to add 2 over 5, and that should be equal to 2 over 3x minus 1. Okay, now there are a number of ways of approaching this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these two fractions here on the left hand side. So to do that, I just need common denominator, leave the right hand side as it is. So our common denominator here is going to be 5 times 2x plus 1. Okay, now then you've got to ask yourself, what did I do to this 2x plus 1 to give me 5 times 2x plus 1? Well, I just multiplied it by 5. So I've got to multiply the top by 5 here, so 3 5s, 15. I'm going to write down this plus. What did I do to this 5 here to give me 5 times 2x plus 1? Well, I just multiplied it by 2x plus 1. So multiply the top, the numerator, by 2x plus 1. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is just multiply everything out here on the top and the bottom. So here I've got a 15, I've got plus 2 times 2x, which is 4x, 2 times 1, 2. On the bottom here I've got a, let's see, I've got 5 times 2x, so that'll give me 10x. 5 times plus 1 is plus 5. And here on the right hand side again, 2 over 3x minus 1. Okay, let's just keep simplifying here. So on the top here I've got 15 plus 2, so that's 17 plus 4x. Here I've got 10x plus 5. Here I've got 2 over 3x minus 1. Okay, so next thing I've got to do is look at what I've got. I've got a fraction equal to a fraction here. So I'm just going to cross multiply. I'm going to multiply the top by the bottom, and that's equal to the bottom here by the top. Really what I'm doing is just multiplying across by the two denominators multiplied. But effectively it just means I'm cross multiplying. So it's 17 plus 4x. I'm going to multiply that by 3x minus 1. That's going to be equal to 2 times the denominator on the left hand side, which is 10x plus 5. Okay, so let's just keep going. Just a lot of algebra here, so I've got to multiply all this out here. So let's see, 3x times 17 is 51. 17 times minus 1 is minus 17. 4x times 3x, that's plus. 3 4 is 12, and we have an x squared. And then finally plus times minus here, and 4x times minus 1 is minus 4x. On the right hand side here I've got, let's see, 2 10s 20x. Then I've got plus 2 5s 10. Okay, so let's just simplify everything down. Let me see, I've got a 51x and I've got a minus 4x here. So 51x minus 4x, that'll give me 47x. I've got a minus 17. No other numbers here. I'll just leave that as it is for the moment. And then I've got the plus 12x squared. On the right hand side, actually, you know what I might do is just take these two over to the left hand side. So subtract these two from both sides. You get minus 20x minus 10, and I just end up with 0 on the right hand side. So let's go again then. Well, we have 12x squared here. I'll put that first because the highest power of x. I've got 47x. I've got a minus 20x. So I'll do that one next. So that's plus 27x. Now I've got a minus 17 and a minus 10. That's minus 27. That's equal to 0. And you probably spotted here that we can divide across here by 3. So I end up with 4x squared here. I've got plus 9x here, and I've got minus 9 here. So I've just divided everything by 3. Okay, so let's see. Now I've got to factorize now and solve this. So let's see, I'll do this here. So 4x squared, I'm going to try 4x times x first. And 9 is 9 times 1 or 3 times 3. Now just looking ahead here, 9 times 1 is not going to work, so I'm going to try 3 times 3. I can see here that I'll end up with a 3x and a 12, so 3x and a 12x will give me a 9x. I've just got to look at the signs now. Well, I needed to multiply this 3 by this 3 to give me a minus, so the signs have to be different. I want the largest one to be plus here, so 4 3 is 12 is the largest one. I'm going to put the plus here, I'm going to put the minus here. Okay, so I know this is going to work. This is going to work for me. So now looking ahead here, I can see that 4x minus 3 is equal to 0, or x plus 3 is equal to 0. I'm multiplying these two things here to give me a 0, so one of them has to be 0. Here I'll just end up with x is equal to, I'll bring this 3 over, I'll get 3, divide by 4, I'll get 3/4. Or x is equal to minus 3. So the two values of x are 3 over 4 and minus 3. Now that's really it. I think that's all we had to do. Solve the equation. So we solved it. We've got our two values. None of our values are minus a half or a third, so we're okay there. Now you could check it if you wanted to. You're not required to do it in this question, but if you stuck 3/4 in here instead of x, 3/4 in here instead of x, you will, and add the left hand side and so on, you will end up with, you will find that it works. Also, if you stuck in a minus 3 here instead of x and a minus 3 here instead of x, again you'll find that the left hand side will equal the right hand side when you work it out. So they are our correct values.